Well, let's talk about the curse of busyness. How many of you are too busy? Come on, don't give me none of this stuff. Let's see. When one of my granddaughters was 8 years old, she's now 18, and she's actually here in the service. Abby, I don't know if you remember this or not, but trying to find exactly what you said so I don't mess it up. But she had to do some kind of paper about if you were going to give a gift, what kind of gift would you give? And she said, if I could give a gift to anybody, I'd give my grandma the gift of time because she's always so busy. And so people notice. She was 8, and she noticed that her grandma was busy all the time. Don't be so busy, just being busy, that you don't have time for the things in your life that are really the most important. Don't just park your kid in front of a television, talk to them. Amen? Americans are so busy, and we wear our busyness like a badge. We're proud of it. Let me tell you how busy I am and how much I've been doing. And sometimes I just want to say, but is it worth anything, or is it even what you're supposed to be doing? And today in our society, and I think most of you will agree, we have got an epidemic of people not keeping their word. I mean, I am so tired of that. Just so tired of that. You have an appointment, somebody doesn't show up. They don't even call you to tell you they're not coming. You call again. Well, what happened to you yesterday? I had an appointment. I took off work to meet you here. You didn't show up. Oh, I'm sorry. I got so busy. Well, I thought you were going to call me back. I'm sorry. I just got so busy. I've just got so much going on. I'm just so busy. You know what? That is a lame, dumb excuse. I mean, sometimes you can get busy and forget something, but if your excuse for not keeping your word is I'm busy, then you need to rework your schedule. Here's why, and I'm going to tell you a secret, and you can believe this or not believe it, but we all have the same amount of time. We all have 24 hours a day. It's not like, I have too much time and you don't have enough time. Now, in a lifetime, some may live longer than others, but we all have 24 hours a day. And it's amazing to me that some people can accomplish so much with their time while other people just do absolutely nothing with theirs. And so I want to say, are you busy? But what are you busy doing? What do you have to show for it at the end of the day? What are you going to have to show for it at the end of your life? How many really good friends do you have? You got to put time into stuff like that. And I don't mean this at all to be disrespectful. They've both passed on, my mom and dad, and thankfully they're both in heaven. And so since in heaven you can't get mad, they can't get mad at me for what I'm going to say. So. And they would agree now that they see the other side, but my mom and dad, they just basically wasted their whole life. When my dad died, he was 86. There was nobody that cared one thing about him. Didn't have any friends. I mean, I took care of my mom and dad until they died, and we tried to treat them decent, but because of what had happened in my life, it was never really like I had a real mom and dad. And I had one brother who ended up committing suicide from drugs and alcohol, and They didn't have any money. They couldn't take care of themselves. They were sick. Life is a gift from God. And every day that you have is a gift, and it's precious. And when I say don't waste it, I'm not saying that you have to be working all the time. The thing is to learn about God's rhythm and to learn how to discern and sense what you need to do when, and not be just led around by emotions and feelings. You know, if you know that you've got a mess in your home and you need to stay home for a few days and get things cleaned up, you can't get emotional every time somebody calls and wants you to take off and go somewhere. You got to be able to say no and stay focused and get the things done that you need to get done. But there's also times when you maybe want to work all day, and I would have a problem like this, and the better thing to do is not work at all and just lay on the couch all day in my pajamas and watch movies all day. And that's not a waste if it's something you need. But if you're doing that every day, then there's a little problem. So we have to have balanced lives, but just being busy. People, here's what I was going to tell you. You put your time into what's really important to you. If something is really important to you, then you will find the time to do it. So to say, I just can't find the time to study the Bible. I just can't find the time to pray. Well, time's not hiding from you. It's right there in front of your face. You don't have to go find it. You've got it. All you got to do is rearrange what you're doing with it a little bit and start putting first things first. And when you put first things first, everything else will seem to fall into place. Don't major in minors. Amen? John Maxwell, many of you probably heard of John Maxwell. He's awesome, and I have the privilege of being able to call him my friend. And he said this, that we should put 80% of our time into the top 20% of our strengths. Most people waste their time trying to strengthen their weaknesses, and they may improve only a very little, no matter how much effort they put into it, while they ignore the development of their strengths and things that they could truly excel at. If everything is a priority to us, then nothing is a priority, and we live confused and frustrated lives. Some people try to do everything, so they end up doing nothing really well. Amen? Peter Drucker said, there is nothing so useless as doing efficiently what should not be done at all. I'm going to say that again. There is nothing so useless as doing efficiently what should not be done at all. Now, one of the things that we need to do, Philippians 1 talks about, it's one of Paul's prayers, and it's interesting to me the things that Paul prayed for the church. His prayers were vastly different than a lot of ours is. He said, I pray that you might learn to recognize and treasure what is excellent, identifying the best, and distinguishing the moral differences, so that you may be pure and blameless until the day of Christ, actually living lives that lead others away from sin. Now, one of the reasons why I like the Amplified Bible is because I'll get something like that out of it. Now, see, that makes it plain. He wants you to live a life that actually leads other people away from sin. So, you've heard it before. Good is sometimes the greatest enemy of best. We think we might be doing a good thing by working at church 5 or 6 times a week, when it actually might be a better thing to work there twice a week and spend those other hours that you were working at church because maybe it made you feel good about yourself. Might be better if you spent those talking to your teenage kids. So they don't try to have to learn everything they want to learn off the internet. Come on. Now we're going to talk about pruning tomorrow. How many of you know what pruning is? Oh yeah. You're going to have to be bold to come back tomorrow. Because Jesus said, every branch in me that does not bear fruit, he trims it away, and every branch that does bear fruit, he repeatedly prunes it so that it will bear more fruit, even richer and finer fruit. So I finally got it. You're pruned if you do and pruned if you don't. So, in other words, here's the bottom line. God is not going to leave you alone and let you stay the same. Amen? God is after you. He wants to make every single one of us a better person, so we represent him better in the world, because people are dying and going to hell by the thousands every day. And let me tell you something, there are enough Christians in this earth that if we all got out there and acted out what we say we believe, I honestly believe the world would already be saved. Jesus could have come back and we'd already be out of this mess. And pruning means to cut away dead parts. God is not interested in dead stuff. Amen? The one guy that Jesus called, he said, well, let me bury my dead relatives first. And Jesus said, let the dead bury the dead, you follow me. Come on, what kind of dead things do you have in your life? Things that are sucking up your time and bearing no good fruit at all. Every one of you, and I'll include myself, if we would really be honest about what we're doing with our time, everybody in here can find time to do the most important things in life, which is spend time with God, know his word, develop good relationships with people. All of those things are actually more important than making money. They are. And we spend so much time trying to climb the ladder of success. Don't spend your whole life doing that, and when you get to the top, finally realize your ladder's leaned against the wrong building. That you got what you thought you wanted, but it's not what you wanted after all. Don't just be busy. Make sure you're bearing good fruit.